I'm Jeff Teagan Raleigh. I'm on location at the JBL Fest in Las Vegas. So what makes JBL sound so important, so necessary, so amazing, and why do you want it in your next Toyota? I just sat down with two members of JBL's engineering team, and let's find out the answers. Hey everyone, I'm here with Rishi from JBL, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what he does. So Rishi, what do you do with JBL?
I'm a senior acoustic engineer at JBL, so I work on designing and building the audio systems and then tuning it to create that JBL sound.
Excellent, that's awesome. And we're in the 2019 Avalon touring right now, so tell me your role with the new Avalon.
I got to be part of the team that worked on tuning the Avalon system.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Great. And what can you tell me about JBL sound and the Avalon? Like, why would a customer want to upgrade? What's so special about JBL sound in the new Avalon?
So there's a couple of different things that will be best for illustrating, why it's such a great sound system. I mean, the first is there's a three-way system in the front. So we have door woofers, we have IP mid-ranges, and then we have the JBL horn tweeter in the front, as well as a center channel in the middle of the dash there.
Okay.
We also have a two-way system in the second row, as well as rear deck speakers and a subwoofer.
That's amazing.
So you're talking about a lot of extra horsepower, right? So you have more speakers. It can create a better soundstage, a wider soundstage. You can get a great vocal image, and then you have all that extra power and punch from the door woofers as well as the subwoofer, and that's one of the big things. So JBL prides itself on having great dynamics, so great impact, great low frequency punch, and you just don't get that with the bass grade systems. You just don't have the amplifier power and the capable speakers to sort of give you that hard-hitting impact that's so known for JBL.
Right, and I was hearing in one of the presentations today, one of the speakers was talking about the emotion that JBL tries to portray or to bring to people in cars. What can you tell me about that philosophy?
Yeah, so when we tune these cars, we like to, we take the emotional impact that you get when you listen to music and when you listen to music while driving, and we try to make sure that we display it as best possible in a vehicle and sort of showcase, the experience that JBL means. We like to represent, artist intent, and also like to have good a live experience, if you will. When you go and see music live, you feel the subwoofer impact, you feel a really big soundstage, and it's loud and it's wonderful, and the imaging is really good, and we try to recreate all of those aspects inside of the vehicles that we create.
Wow, there's so much that goes into that. I was wondering if we could do a demonstration, maybe play a couple songs, and you can tell me how that incorporates through the Entune system.
Sure. Starting by putting the system detent. I like the surround. This system has both the surround and stereo mode.
Okay. And what's the difference between surround and stereo mode?
So it's using sort of different algorithms in the amplifier that sort of gives you some surround processing treatment as well, and then the stereo is just the regular standard left-right treatment, and we can manipulate how the surround versus stereo is implemented in the vehicle, how we treat the extra spatial content, how we use the second row speakers and the deck speakers to sort of portray the surrounding and the envelopment. Do you want to be completely inside of the music, or do you want more of a soundstage kind of just in front of you, like normal standard 2-channel listening? So we'll listen through just a few tracks here, and so there's some key things that are most important when you do critical listening, and this is true for a vehicle or a great just an audio system in a car or in a home, as well as live sound. So there's a couple of things, right? You want that bass impact. So we're gonna listen to, first what kind of bass impact there is, and try to find this balance. So So the first thing we noticed is that there's like good tight bass in front of us. It's not sloppy, it's not all over the place. It's representative of the way the music was recorded and mixed and put together. And so it's in front of you and it's tight, and so it sort of represents the way that we're used to experiencing music, or the way that most people enjoy listening to music. And of course, you know, you can add more or less bass using the tone controls, but we tune it in a way that the detent setting sounds really great. The next thing we want to listen to is the Soundstage. So,
I need someone on days like this. I do on days like this.
So the sound goes from pillar to pillar and then even outside of it a little bit. And so we're sort of, you know, giving a really good left to right stage image, and it also wraps a little bit. So you're getting a little bit of that extra fill and surrounding material. It can really put you inside of the music. And then the last sort of important aspect that I'll talk about is vocal image. So this is a really important factor. You know, many people don't realize, and this is true for many audio systems, especially in a vehicle, is that typically when music is recorded, the vocal is in the middle, so between the left and right speakers, so pan center in the music.
Right.
And so in an automotive vehicle, that normally corresponds anywhere from directly in front of you to the IP center location. And many cars can't reproduce a good vocal that's sort of center and in front of you. But at JBL, you know, all of our vehicles are going to have a really good center image where the vocal is going to be in front of you. You're going to feel it in front of you, and it's going to represent the way that the music was intended for us to listen to.
And then what can you tell me about Clarify? We hear the buzzword, it has JBL with Clarify. How would people interpret that, and how would they use that to their benefit while they're driving?
So Clarify is a feature that we have in these cars, and is basically, it's meant to sort of make compressed, lossy formats sound better. So if you're listening to, you know, lower quality MP3s, Clarify is an algorithm that's that helps make those MP3s and lower quality sound files sound better in your vehicle.
Okay, so it's closer to recording studio quality then.
Yeah, I mean, if you have such a low quality MP3 or something like that, you know, it's going to be difficult. But
right.
You know, we do our best to sort of improve the way that sound is gonna be represented in the vehicle.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Okay, everyone, I'm with Jonathan with JBL, and Jonathan, thanks for being here.
No worries.
What is your role with JBL?
So I'm the senior manager of our global benchmarking operations for JBL.
Okay, great. And how does that impact the consumers? What is your role as far as bringing this this information to potential customers?
Yeah, so I train listeners to critically evaluate audio inside of the vehicle.
Okay, and how would that work? Let's say I was, let's say I'm sitting here in the passenger seat. What would be important to anybody sitting in the driver or the passenger seat when they're listening for music? How would they evaluate it?
Right. So we would focus on 4 different attributes.
Okay.
We'll start with spectral being the first one. Spectral is more of your frequency-based issues. This is mostly your tone controls, if you will, right?
Okay.
People are very familiar with the balance of the bass, the mid-range, and the treble.
Yeah.
And we all have a different preference, obviously, as to how much bass we like. That could depend on the music we listen to, or just the day of the week, eventually.
Right.
Essentially. So I think it's just understanding that relationship that you like, what you prefer, and making sure that your audio system gives you that sounds that you want to characterize as confidently as what you would like.
Okay, great. And then what type of love does JBL give to the passenger sitting in the back seat? Do they receive similar sound quality as the folks in the front?
Spectrally, yes. Spatially can be a bit of a challenge. So talking about spatial, just for your viewers, spatial is more where you see sound to come from in the car, and it's a bit easier to accomplish in the front because you have, you know, speakers left, right, center in the front here, and they're a bit closer to you, so you have a nice natural stage where the vocal image is here, and again you have the breadth of the instruments across there. In the back, you obviously have a bit of a challenge because the center channel up here where the vocals are coming from is a bit further away.
Right.
So you just get a bit of that depth issue, but left, right should still be very, very distinct. You should have instruments on the left that were meant to be heard there, instruments on the right that were also meant to be heard there as well. So spectrally it can be you know, not as much of a challenge, but spatially it certainly is, for sure.
Right. And what's the next concept that you wanted to talk about?
So dynamics.
Dynamics.
Would be the good one,
Okay.
yeah. So The other attribute we can talk about is dynamics. That's the loudness characteristics of the system. Think of that as the ability from a song to go from the very softest sound to the very loudest sound very quickly. And in a non-branded audio system, you're probably going to have an amplified head unit,
Right.
not a lot of wattage there. So if I have a song, say an old Pink Floyd recording, or say a very dynamic recording of a orchestral cut, you're going to have something that goes from very, very soft to all of a sudden, bam, really, really, really loud. And you have to have the power and the amplification to see that energy coming down the pipe and say, okay, I can faithfully reproduce that and give you that full dynamic range, if you will. Think about being at a concert and you're seated, and the first time the band comes on, it's like, wow, all of a sudden that big jump in volume. That's what you want to hear. That's what really invokes that emotion.
Yeah, that immediate impact, and like you said, it just pulls emotion.
Yeah, and that emotion is very important to JBL, obviously. So we want to make sure we're putting the proper amplification in there, in the amplifier, and also we're make sure we're manufacturing the best possible speakers. Because again, you could have a great amplifier, but subpar speakers, they can't handle that power as well. So it's talking about, manufacturing those speakers and amplifiers under the same roof. That's going to help you, and we do that at JBL, so we can make sure we have good synergy between both those components.
Very cool. And the next concept?
The last one is going to be integrity.
Okay.
Right. So this is really important.
Integrity.
Yeah. When it comes to benchmarking, this is a very important one. So we're going to put listeners in the car, and we're going to have them listen to 7 music tracks. And these music tracks have a lot of bass notes in it that test the vibration of the car, the buzz, the squeak, and the rattle. And I want them to tell me, where's that buzz, squeak, and rattle coming from? And in the prototype phase, we can feed that information back to Toyota, and they can reinforce the doors. They can put more foam in the doors. They can try to minimize those instances, so it doesn't cheapen the sound quality, right? I mean, Toyota's a very prestigious brand, as well as JBL. We want to make sure that when people hop in the car, it doesn't sound cheap, right, or sound like a toy. It should be a weapon of power, if you will. In a way.
That's great.
And when the bass hits, it really shouldn't shake, rattle, and vibrate, right? I mean, it should be something that the car audio is faithfully reproduced and not being interfered with the structural integrity of the car.
Right. I've been amazed with the sound quality in the new 19 Avalon. Is that something you're proud of?
Absolutely. I think Toyota was probably going for more of a youthful kind of demographic with the sporty look of it.
Yeah,
I think
right.
with JBL obviously being kind of a little bit more of a powerful, youthful type of brand, it evokes a lot of emotion. And I think it has the bass power to it that a lot of younger people would enjoy. Again, if they don't like it, they can go into the tone controls and certainly give themselves a little bit more. But we're very proud of it, and I think that JBL Sonic Signature is something that through studies and through just consumer studies, people have told us they really seem to enjoy, and I think that people will like the Avalon a lot.
That's great. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking time in the 19 Avalon, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your week.
Yeah, thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.